A few years back, we wrote a book with the best title ever given to a book. Ask and it is given. And it was speaking about exactly that. Because when you ask, even with a soft preference, the vibrational part of you, the non-physical part of you, the source energy part of you, the God force part of you, doesn't just answer the request, it becomes the vibrational equivalent of the solution. So if you've got a problem, the solution is there immediately, because you can't have a problem without asking for the solution. You can't have a question without asking for the answer. And in this magnificent universe where you ask, source answers, where you ask, it is given, that's what's happening. So when we say to you, do you know what you're wanting? And some of you say, well, I don't think I know it in the fullest. I just know that right now this chair is not as comfortable as I would like it to be. Or right now I know that I wish my kids were behaving better back home, where I locked them in a room and said, I'll be back. Be good. But we want you to know that there is this amassed vortex that not only knows what you want, but is what you want. It's the vibrational version of all that you have been requesting that has already been amassed, and all cooperative components have already been drawn to it. Do you know that for everything you want, cooperative components are immediately available? That's why there can and should be immediate manifestation of the things that you want, because when you ask, it is given vibrationally. But there is this lag that happens with so many of you. We've been giving the buffer of time the credit for it. In other words, we've been saying to you for a long time that when you want something, there is usually a buffer of time between your identification that you want it and the showing up of it, the manifesting of it, the actualization of it in your life experience. But we want you to know that the only reason that there is that lag is because when you launch your preference, when you amend your desire again and again and again, as you do all day, every day, you are usually not up to speed. You're not a cooperative component to what you're asking for. And the reason that you are not, sometimes, often, usually, a vibrational match to what you're asking for is because you are so what is oriented. You're so deciphering the present manifestation. So when your present reality shows you something that you want, most of you are still so actively involved in explaining what's wrong with the present reality that you prevent yourself from being a cooperative component to what you are looking for. You know, a question has a vibration, and an answer has a vibration. But the vibrational difference between the question and the answer is a big vibrational difference. A problem has a vibration. A solution has a vibration. But there's a vibrational variance between the problem and the solution that keeps you from being a cooperative component to the solution. So it's really interesting thing to see that when you ask for something, immediately the source within you, we call that your inner being, the whole of you, becomes an immediate vibrational match to what you're asking for, and law of attraction gathers the cooperative components to it, so there is an immediate attraction of everything that you are asking for. But if you're still beating the drum of what is, I don't have enough money, I don't know what I'm going to do, I've never had enough money, I don't know hardly anybody who has enough money. As you beat the drum of what is, you hold yourself vibrationally apart from what you are really wanting. Now, the best news in all of that is every time you do that, you can feel your vibrational discord. So interesting to watch you, because a lot of times you've decided that you will be determined. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to achieve the relationship I want. I'm going to achieve the financial situation that I want. I'm going to achieve the bodily condition that I want. And in that determination, that is a very wonderful thing. It's so good to know what you want, and it's so good to speak about what you want. But we've been talking for years, and if you've been listening to us at all, you've been hearing us speaking about the law of attraction. Yes, most powerful, significant law in the universe, and the one that your understanding of it will serve you better than all others. And for a while you heard us speaking, and we often do, about the law of deliberate creation. We asked Jerry and Esther to call it the science of deliberate creation because it really is ongoing and it's unfolding. But then we want to talk to you about the law of allowing. We began calling it the art of allowing because the only law worth mentioning, really, we don't count gravity, is the law of attraction. But the art of allowing really is what we're talking about here. And it's about managing your vibration. It's about caring enough about how you feel that you tune yourself to the frequency of who you really are. Now, that's the most important thing to talk about. So you know that you are extensions of source energy. You know that, don't you? But you aren't just extensions of source energy in the sense that you were source and here you are an extension of that. You are extensions of source energy in a greater sense, in the sense that you are the ambassador of source energy. You are the leading edge of source energy. You are the pioneers of source energy. You are the physical manifestation of source energy. So here you are as leading edge creators, as enormous, essential catalysts to expansion, sifting and sorting and constantly launching these vibrational rockets. Now, you heard us say just now that when you know what you don't want, at many vibrational levels of your being, you know what you do want. Even consciously, you can say, well, I know I don't want that. I know I do want that. But it's much deeper than that. It's much more sophisticated than that. It's much more constant than that, where in every moment of your perceptual experience, you are launching these rockets, which means the larger part of you is becoming constantly. Now, this is the thing that most of our physical friends do not understand, but is so essential to your understanding if you are to understand your emotions or why you are here or how to be happy. And that is that with every expanding rocket or energy or vibration that exudes from you, and it does constantly, all day, every day, that the larger part of you incrementally, and we only use that word because you're shooting the rockets off incrementally, but this larger part of you is incrementally expanding. So that means that the possibility of you getting further, vibrationally speaking, from who you are is something to consider, because every time you know what you don't want, you expand. But the question is, are you taking the expansion or are you beating the drum that caused the expansion? You follow? Because when you know what you don't want, you expand. And if you know what you don't want, you expand some more. And if you talk about what you don't want, you expand some more. And if you join a blog, you expand some more. And those online chat groups, you expand some more. But the question is, are you going with the expansion or are you just causing the expansion? And the way you feel is your indicator of whether you're going with it or whether it's getting out ahead of you. And if it gets out ahead of you, then you don't feel so good. If life causes you to expand and you are not aware of the expansion and doing your work in keeping up with it, then the gap can get wide enough that you can begin to experience some discomfort that is beyond the negative emotion that we love you very much. The negative emotion that, oh, we love you so much. The negative emotion that you have come to accept as part of life. In other words, it feels normal to you to complain. It feels normal for you to feel resentful. It feels normal for you to feel embarrassed or fearful, or it feels normal for you. In other words, you know because you talk to others about the same thing and they tell you they feel the same way. And so you validate your negative emotion because everybody's doing it. And because everybody's doing it, it doesn't feel so weird to you, but it ought to feel weird to you because you're supposed to feel good. And when you don't, something's off, you see. So when we talk about the art of allowing, we're not just talking about you allowing your new car to come or your new home to come or your lover to come or your physical condition to improve. We are talking about that, but not just that. When we talk about the art of allowing, what we're really talking about you allowing is your alignment, your connection, your involvement, your vibrational sameness with your inner being, who keeps taking the expansion and never holds back from it. Your inner being, the source within you, this non-physical part of you, who we are wanting you to understand exists in this vibrational frequency of knowledge and understanding and beingness. So what happens is, when things are mostly pretty good, you can get pretty sloppy with your relationship because the stakes aren't that high. In other words, you have a lot of leeway, and so you can endure quite a bit of sloppy thinking or not deliberate thinking because what you're reflecting back is sort of what you're used to maybe. But when you're in a situation where what is really, really, really something that you don't want, you have to do something about changing your relationship with your vortex. And the thing that is so interesting about that is, we said to Esther the other day, notice how whatever's going on in your conversation and in your mind and in your emotions is reflected back to you by every single person you meet. So a string of people came to her reflecting back to her that she wasn't in a very good place. Truly annoying because they should have been better than that. In other words, what's the matter with you? Can't you reflect back to me what I want to hear? Why are you reflecting back to me what I don't want to hear? And after a little while, as she began playing with it, she began to notice that no matter what the condition was, she could find alignment with her vortex. And then the next person who walked through the door reflected back to her something that she wanted to hear. It was the most interesting experience ever to feel the closeness of the relationship with the vortex. And so, while words don't teach, it is only life experience that really gives you your knowing. We want you to leave this gathering here today completely convinced and confident in the reality of your vibrational reality, the reality of your vortex. And we would like it so much if your dominant intent, as it has become Esther's dominant intent, is to be in vibrational proximity to this vortex and aware of her relationship with it and it only forevermore. Because that is the only place that you will ever find the contentment that you reach for, the happiness that you reach for. We've been saying it to you for a while, that your relationship with your vortex is everything. Esther said to Jerry just a few days ago, in fact, they've been talking quite a lot about this. She said, you know, I hate to admit it, but I might as well because Abraham will blab it anyway. I hate to admit it, but I've been depending so much on action that I could garner in order to soothe situations. In other words, something's out of whack. Barbara, this is out of whack. Will you take care of this? Something's out of whack. Karen, this is out of whack. Will you take care of that? I feel better. Somebody's on it. I didn't adjust my vibration. I don't need to. I've got people. I've got people who will take care of it. Mark, my computer isn't behaving the way it is supposed to. Will you come and fix it? Done. I don't have to adjust my vibration. I've got people. I have resources. I have power. I have money. I have the ability to wrestle anything to the ground and kill it. I can complain to Jerry. Something not going well? I'll just complain. I'll just complain to Jerry. And there's something about complaining to another person that just sort of releases it there. Somebody will take care of it. Of course, they can't take care of it very long because you're creating new things faster than they can take care of. So you need a lot of really effective people around you putting out the brush fires that you keep starting everywhere along the way. And it's pretty manageable. It's quite entertaining. You can write books about it even. But then you find yourself, occasionally, in a situation where there's nobody to call. There's nobody to call. You could call them, but they would say, that's above my pay scale. And now, you, if you are to feel joy again, if you are to breathe again, if you are to feel happy again, you have to establish your relationship with your vortex, which is doable under any and all conditions. So after you establish your relationship with your vortex, what happens is because